Steve Harvey is in the business of helping people buy and sell businesses. He's the CEO and founder of Business Finders Canada, a company that's about to roll out right across the country. We're going to find out the top 5 reasons to have an exit strategy. Steve, welcome to the show.
Randy, thanks for having me.
Buying and selling businesses. Actually, you're a commercial real estate broker. Is that how it works?
Correct, yeah. We're a full service commercial real estate office, and we specialize in the sale of business transactions.
Now we, follow the business news and hear about these big transactions where huge companies acquire each other, and yet the real world of business is in all these smaller businesses, the SMEs across the country. These are the companies that are actually driving the economy. And yet, these smaller companies, when it's time to sell, they have no idea how to do it.
Correct, yeah. So 89% of the businesses actually are in the category you just mentioned. Only 11% the big major corporations are, in that category. So planning an exit is something that definitely business owners need to do and prepare themselves to exit.
Yeah, so if I'm a big, huge corporation, I'm thinking of selling to another company. I have this raft of lawyers and accountants and investment bankers that I can call on. But if I own my own business and I may be employing 15, 20 people, could be a manufacturing business, retail or whatever, and this is what I've been doing my whole life, I really have no clue how the process would work to find a buyer and what it's worth and all that. So that's what you guys do.
Yeah, that's where we come into play. I mean, as a business owner, sure, you've started your business, you've grown your business, and you're great at doing, making your business work. When it comes to selling it, why would you understand that process?
So how did you figure this out?
Well, I've been involved in businesses for many years. I owned my first business back in 1992, where I owned a commercial. I was a commercial pilot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I had a small little airline here in Kelowna where I was doing banner towing and aerial photography, and a little bit of chartering as well. And that didn't work out for me. I've learned a lot over the years, and the costs to operate that business were a little more expensive than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
And
you were a young guy, obviously.
I was right out of school, college, where I had got my commercial pilot's license. And at the time, there really wasn't a lot of jobs out there for commercial pilots.
So, and actually, that's how a lot of people, especially in this day and age, are ending up getting into their own business because, the field that they want to enter, they almost have to create their own opportunity.
Yeah, we see it all the time. In fact, we probably deal with about 60% of business owners that are looking to buy businesses have never owned a business before.
Wow. So in your case, you started your own business out of necessity. I must admit, you're the first pilot I ever talked to that started his own airline. So that's cool. And then you went into, tell me a little bit more about your career path and how you came to be owning your own business brokerage.
Sure. So I left the airline industry, and of all things, I got into the book business, and I was importing books from the U.S. into Canada, and there's incredible markup in the book industry, and we were able to sell books all over BC and to all kinds of different institutions. From that, I went into franchising. I bought actually an auto security franchise for Calgary, and it was before there was really the key fobs that everybody uses today and the kill switches that are out there. And so it was a pretty unique idea, and it was way ahead of its time. And I got involved with actually the franchisor, and we also started selling franchise. So I was the franchisee in Calgary, and I was also working with the franchisor and selling the franchises. From there, that brought me into the sports nutrition industry, back into Kelowna, where I was involved with a business owner there, where we created a new brand and started basically a new company. Moved on from there into packaging, and we were doing international packaging. So we were packaging goods all over North America. We were bringing in the packaging from Asia, and so we were basically brokering the business of the packaging to North American clients. And that's what got me interested into business brokering. When I started looking for another business, I sat down with a commercial realtor. I sat down with other business brokers, and I saw the niche that was missing. And some of these people that I was speaking with really didn't understand the process that I was looking for, and I ended up searching out a better way, as people say. And I found a guy out of the U.S. that had sold about 5,000 companies himself personally. So obviously,
he sold 5,000 of these smaller businesses.
Over his
working
25
as a
years.
business broker.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was extremely knowledgeable in that side of things. And business brokering is quite large in the U.S. It's not as big in Canada. And so I took those concepts. I met with him, and we got along really well. There was no competitive issues. He was in the U.S. in the East Coast. I was in Canada on the West Coast, and Canadianized it, and threw in the confidentiality portion of it, as most business owners are, not wanting everybody to know that they're selling.
Well, confidentiality is a huge part of it, because if I've got my business, I've got my employees, and I want to get out, how do I do that without causing alarm among the employees? And the key is confidentiality. You described, so your background was really a perfect setup to do what you're doing, because you're dealing with any kind of business.
Right.
And so you can relate to what the business owner is going through. So do you get hired or retained by the seller of the business or the buyer of the business?
Generally, we get hired by the seller. The seller is the one that's come to us and said, "Hey, I understand. I need to sell my business, but I don't want anybody to know." And so that's where we come in. We deal with the confidentiality side of it. We deal with the qualification of the buyers, because about 90% of people, there's no problem in generating inquiries, but 90% of people that inquire about businesses, unfortunately, don't have either the financial ability to do it, or be able to take the risk, or any the capability of just doing the business itself. So you've got to weed out what I like to call the Canadian dream seeker, the entrepreneur that wants to be an entrepreneur that can't afford to be one.
The entrepreneurial wannabe.
Yes.
Who may have to start his own company on his own, but of course, as opposed to acquiring an existing business, which obviously there's a lot less risk involved in someone taking over an operating company.
Yeah, we believe fully in purchasing businesses versus starting them up. I mean, businesses that are existing, they have a history, they have cash flow generally, they have customers, and so there's an opportunity there generally. Most people buy businesses because they can see that, hey, this business owner isn't doing the greatest job at this, and this. I'm going to make it better by doing this, and this.
And how many of your buyers are, like, what's the percentage of them that already have their own business and maybe they're just expanding or they want to get into another business, as opposed to, as you mentioned, people that maybe are coming out of a professional career, getting a buyout, whatever, want to change locations, kind of almost a semi-retirement type of approach? What's the ratio there?
So the people that own businesses and are looking to expand are probably about 20% of our business. The guys that are looking to buy businesses or the guys that are looking to sell businesses are generally, they look at the millennials or maybe their own family at first. I want my kids are going to take over the business. Well, the millennials today really have no interest in the parents' business.
In most cases,
they've seen their parents work so hard, and they don't want to work. For the majority of them, they don't want to work that hard. They want to, they don't want to live to work. They want to work to live. Yeah,
it's so amazing. Like you think what you're doing, you want to pass on to your kids, and it's the same with some people I know that are an artist, and they've been an artist all their life, and their kid wants to go into business. It's
right.
It's just the way it goes. I promise that you're going to share with us the top 5 reasons to have an exit strategy. So people out there that are watching the show that have their own business,
right?
They don't think about an exit strategy. So what are the top 5 reasons to have an exit strategy then?
So you want to be able to maximize your value. You want to be able to choose the time of when you exit.
When you talk about maximizing your value, that is really the key reason, because if you don't prepare, it's one thing to run the business and operate it and do what you're doing, But by thinking about an exit, you can do certain things to prepare your company to be more saleable.
Absolutely.
What it boils down to. Give me an example of what you're talking about there.
Well, you know, you need to start preparing your financials way ahead of you know, when you decide to sell. So, you know, we recommend 2 to 4 years out as a minimum. So your financials, the way you run your financials look very differently, you know, for the tax man than they do when you're, you know, ready to set your business up for sale. You need to clean your books up. You need to have audited financials. You need to get your operations in place. Employees are another thing. You want to make sure you've got outstanding talent that, you know, that works for your organization.
And you need to have them contracted, and those contracts in place with your employees, where you may have had the same employee for many years, you don't even have a contract with them. Same with your accounting. You don't need audited financials except when it's time to sell. It makes a big difference. What are a couple other reasons to have an exit strategy?
So you want to be able to, you know, you want to be in control of the process. So you want to determine what triggers the exit. And if you don't prepare for that, you know, life happens. So, you know, of course, you know, people think about wanting to sell, but you know what? Death happens, illness happens, divorce happens, corporate restructure happens. So you need to prepare and look advance, you know, look in an advanced schedule of, you know, those things you're not thinking about, but they could happen. So you should always be ready or be in a position to sell. And if you don't have your books in order and your staff in place and your business cleaned up.
Steve Harvey, an expert in buying or selling a business. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Steve.
Great.
Real pleasure.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.